I do not believe in forgiveness at all, ever. I don't believe in it. Because the whole way we talk about it just doesn't actually make sense. Oh, I just remembered I had wine. So that one glass in the background. One second. God. Fuck. What the fuck? What? That's so weird. How? What? What the? Oh, I know. Aha! Alright, anyways. I forgot I put it in the fridge. I think forgiveness is entirely bullshit. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, because it seems like the times when someone tells you, "Oh, you just need to forgive them," is the times. Those are the times when you actually are filled with the most justified and righteous anger. And it's like, I don't know. I just think like I think back on all the times throughout history whenever anger actually helped to make a productive change in society and in the world. Like anytime a corrupt government has been overthrown, like when slaves fought for their independence. Women fighting for their rights. All that shit was done through anger. Like, and whenever someone tells me to just, oh, don't, you don't even be upset about it. You're letting them live rent free in your head. You're just like you're wasting your energy. No, I'm fucking not. Like, standing up for myself is not a waste of my energy, and that's what anger and frustration is. It's your body telling you, these people wronged you. These people did something to you that I don't like. These people did something to me that I don't like. And so is it honest? Does it really sound healthy to be like, even though these people did something to me that I really don't like, that really bothers me and frustrates me and angers me, it's totally fine. I'm going to act like nothing is wrong. Do you think that's something that, like, is that something that someone who liked themselves would do? Is that something that someone who liked themselves would do? Is it? No, it's not. That's ridiculous. And you don't. I'm trying to think of a good way to articulate it, but I can't. I really can't. Like, whenever forgiveness is actually the answer, it would just happen. You know? Like, because I think forgiveness is like an emotion, kind of. It's like when you get over something. I don't even really know that forgiveness is a real thing. I think it's more so just like whenever you've. I don't think it's a real thing. It actually doesn't make any sense to me the more I think about it. Like, I think forgiveness is actually delusional. Because I guess you can say, oh yeah, well, everybody messes up. Like these people did this thing to me. I've messed up before, so I should just forgive them for it. I disagree. I think that if you don't act, I think if you don't hold people to a certain standard, then what incentive do they ever have to change? There is none. I don't think you should forgive, like, ever, honestly. Like even if a kid punched me in the face, would I forgive them for it? I don't think so. Like I would. There's no timeline where I would be like, I'm not okay with that happening to me, and I'm not okay if it happens again, and I'm not okay with the fact that it happened to me in the past. Even though I'm past it now, I'm not okay with it. And I would actually have been happier if my kid had just never punched me in the face. Like, obviously, I know they're just a kid. I'm not going to punch them back. But I'm not going to lie to myself and say, oh, yeah, no, that didn't bother me at all. Like, that totally is totally fine. They didn't mean it or whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether they meant it or not, whether it was intentional or not. The reality is that it hurt me. And I don't know. I think forgiveness, when people say that, that's something that just happens whenever something happens to you that actually doesn't bother you at all. Like, forgiveness is more so just like indifference, I think, is what it really is. But if you're having to tell yourself to be indifferent about something, then you're not actually indifferent to it. You actually do care. Because if you were actually indifferent or apathetic to something, or if something didn't actually bother you, you wouldn't have to tell yourself to not be bothered by it, And that's where forgiveness is, in the sense in the sense of how the word is used. Is it's people telling you, oh, this shouldn't be bothering you. Like, just don't let this bother you. Okay, well, if it wasn't bothering me, then I wouldn't have to tell myself to stop being bothered by it. But it is bothering me, so maybe I should investigate that, because if something is bothering me, it's worth looking into, don't you think? Like, think about the person you love the most in the world. If they had a splinter, wouldn't you prefer that they could get that splinter out and not just shrug your shoulders and say, oh, well, you have a splinter, just get over it? No. You would get it out of their finger, even though it's something small. If it's something small, then it shouldn't be that big of a deal if you just go ahead and fix it and give it a small amount of attention, right? So you should do that with things that bother you too. Oh, it was just a small transgression. It was just a small thing that bothered me. Okay, good. Then it shouldn't take that long to fix and to correct, right? Because it's just a small thing. So you don't actually have to get over it just because it's small. That doesn't make any sense. But like I was saying previously, if something really doesn't bother me, like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, at work, if I'm sitting at my desk and someone is like trying to get behind me to get to their desk and they accidentally bump into my chair, that doesn't bother me at all, like not even a little bit. So yeah, I guess I would forgive them if they said sorry. But it doesn't really mean anything, because it never even bothered me in the first place. It's not like I'm forgiving anything because they never even hurt me in the first place. And I'm trying to think. Like, going to church camps as a kid, there were always so many crazy stories of forgiveness that we would hear about. From like these youth pastors. Like, I remember one at like super summer camp in Arkansas. This pastor was like talking about, yeah, when I was like 20 something, like I drove drunk and I got into a crash and I killed this guy. And, this person's parents, they decided not to press charges on me. They taught me about forgiveness and all that. It's like, ugh. That doesn't even feel like forgiveness to me, though. Like, I think I can understand both sides of it. I think you can understand, like, I'm just imagining myself in the parents' shoes, and it's like, this 20-year-old just killed my son, in a drunk driving accident. Maybe those parents had driven drunk before. And so they can relate a little bit to it. And they realize that this kid, basically, that killed their own kid in the car accident, they realize, like, that kid is really not that much different from my own kid. It just, like, they're really not that much different. And so I can see, like, why that might, and maybe you don't have any faith in the justice system to actually handle the situation correctly. And maybe you don't think that, putting this guy in prison for 20 years is actually going to fix anything. Maybe you don't think it's actually going to make the world a better place. But I don't think any of that is really forgiveness, because Like when I look up the definition of forgiveness on Google. Wait, let me do that again. You know, I love it whenever I look up something on Google, like the definition of forgiveness, and it says the action or process of forgiving or being forgiven. Yeah, thanks. That's really helpful. And okay, the definition of forgive. Stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or a mistake. And I think the misconception here is the idea that feeling angry or resentful is unhealthy. I think it's completely healthy. Like, you think it's healthy to be wronged and to just not hold on to that at all? Do you really think that's smart? I don't think so. I think it's healthy to have things that anger you. Because, you know, if I'm the parents in that situation, I would be so pissed off. You know, I would actually go out into the world and I would make a change. And I would use that, like, I would allow myself to be angry because anger is healthy. Like, if you weren't supposed to feel anger, then the emotion wouldn't exist. But the emotion does exist, and everyone feels anger because it's healthy, it's normal, it's self-preservation, self-defense. It's how you protect your peace. But I don't think you have to actually give up any resentment or anger, you know, to have a peaceful life. Like, would you say that Americans forgive the 9/11 terrorists? Would you say that people who have been scammed, do you think they forgive their scammers? Like, even after understanding why they do those things, you know, then do you forgive them? You know, because you understand where they're coming from. Like, I understand, you know, these people were super religious and they believed that flying into a building and killing people was going to somehow benefit their religious cause, or maybe it was because of political reasons and because of the tensions in the Middle East, you know, and maybe scammers, you know, scam people because, you know, they need to make money too. It's like, yeah, I understand all of those reasons. I completely understand it. That doesn't mean I forgive them though. Like, that isn't natural. Like, when you've been wronged, you know you've been wronged, you know. And if those things happening doesn't bother you, then that's fine. You know, you don't have to be bothered by it. But you shouldn't tell people that are actually bothered by it to not be bothered. Like, you don't get to decide what bothers people and what doesn't bother people. You don't get to say, no, you shouldn't be bothered by this. You should just forgive them. You should just forgive the situation and let it go. No, you don't understand. When something really bothers you, like, it feels good to not let it go. Because it feels like you're really standing up for something. It feels like you have a cause to fight for or fight against. Because fighting for something is also fighting against something. Like, I'm a big proponent of emotional health and well-being. And fighting for it also means fighting against emotional unhealthiness, you know? And it's really hard, I think, to fight for something unless you're fighting against something. Like, you have to have something that you actually are wanting to fight against emotionally. And to do that, you kind of have to have a grudge. You have to have something that you're holding on to. You have to have some anger, some resent. Those things are not unhealthy. They're not bad. Like, there are no bad emotions. All of your emotions exist for a reason. You know, when it becomes unhealthy, obviously, is whenever you're using one emotion to avoid another one. Like, if you're just always so angry because you're afraid of feeling sad, you know, or you're afraid of feeling shame, you know, those things. So I've said it before. Like, you should feel every emotion at 100% power, every single one. Like, you should be completely tuned into all your emotions. You know, And I don't think this means that you're going to have, I don't think this means that you're going to be feeling 100% of all of your emotions at the same time. Like, it doesn't mean that they're all going to be at like a 10 out of 10 level of intensity. But I think it just means that you're going to start to feel your emotions in the correct order, you know? Because if you have lots of anger, if you have more anger than you have sadness or happiness, if you have more anger like pent up inside of you, more so than the happiness or sadness, it wouldn't make sense that you should probably feel the anger first, you know, so that that doesn't get out of control and it doesn't continue to build and so it doesn't just make you explode all at once, you know. So you should be tuned in to each of your emotions. But this whole like forgiveness, aka acting unbothered when you're not unbothered, aka acting like you're not bothered when you are bothered, it's unhealthy. It's just repressing your emotions, you know? It's putting a little bow over something that's dirty, that needs to be cleaned. You know, it's just like wrapping it up. Oh, it's fine. Let's just put some nice wrapping paper on this flaming pile of shit. No. But, you know, it makes perfect like this is just this like falls under the category of spiritual bypassing in my opinion. And I think it's a very very common in older generations, you know, like the silent generation and all that, where people were just conditioned to, you know, be silent and compliant. Just do what you're told. You know, don't make a fuss. Be seen but not heard, you know. Basically like be a hard worker, you know. Basically just drones is what they were, just worker bees. Like why? Why are you so desperate to serve someone before you serve yourself? You know, why are you so eager to stand up for everyone and serve everyone else's needs before your own? That doesn't make sense. But yeah, that's exactly what I was taught. Like, you actually don't really need to look out for, you know, the average other person. You know, because if everyone is just looking out for themselves, then everyone is going to be taken care of. As long as, you know, everyone is allowed to look out for themselves. But the only way that it happens where people aren't looked out for is if they've stopped looking out for themselves, honestly. Like, that's the only way that can happen to a huge group of people. Because, of course, you're going to have people that are, like, disabled or mentally handicapped. But that's the vast, 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 vast minority of people. Like, such a small percentage of people that, you know, that wouldn't be a reason why a whole group of people would be, you know, kind of taken over or dismantled. It would have to be people just give up. You know, they're taught it's better, you know, to give up or something. And I think often this kind of like lesson is taught to us by someone that is very mild mannered and, you know, calm and well spoken and articulate. So you think, oh well, they must know what they're talking about. You know, they're so calm. They're calm, so maybe I should be calm. Life is better whenever it's all peaceful and stuff. Blah, 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 blah. But, you know, just because someone says something in an articulate manner and just because they talk quietly and softly and calmly, that doesn't mean that they're right. Like, I can explain to you how, you know, there's only 6 continents. I think there's, like, if I say quietly and softly, like, you know, I understand why you would think this and you're getting really upset, but there are only 6 continents. And it's like you're trying to kind of like make me feel small because you're trying to make me feel like I'm immature just because I'm upset over something. Because I know for a fact that there are 7 continents. Right. Do I? Hmm. Oh yeah, there's 7. Okay. I knew I was right. Never doubted it. But yeah, when I think back to when I was taught to like forgive people, it makes me so mad. Like my parents would just teach me like, oh, if someone apologizes to you and asks for forgiveness, you just give them the forgiveness. We should always forgive. No, that is a horrible precedent. Because if you don't feel like you should forgive someone, then you shouldn't forgive them. You're just teaching yourself to let other people walk all over you because there are. I mean, you should have standards for yourself. Like if you just are always forgiving, then your forgiveness would mean nothing. Like if you're just not bothered by anything ever, then you're dead. Or you're dead figuratively or metaphorically, you know. Like if nothing ever bothers you, there's something wrong with you. Like you can't tell me like yeah, you just can't tell me nothing makes you mad ever. Like you're just because what that means is you're just not passionate about anything. Because in order to really be passionate about something, you have to be like a little bit angry about it. You have to be a little bit bothered about it. Like the fact that children out there are sex trafficked doesn't make you mad at all. Like you're just like, God will take care of it. Like, no, he doesn't though. That's the fact of the matter. He doesn't. He doesn't care because he's not real. Um, like that infuriates me. Like that bothers me. And then my mom would probably just be like, "Oh, we just need to forgive them. You know, they're just sinners. You know, like the rest of us." No, 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 no. Not like the rest of us. Who is us? No. No, 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 no. You don't group me in with those people. We are not all sinners. There are some people who are literally perfect in comparison to other people. Okay? It is not black and white. It's not like there's sinners and then there's God. You know, that's not it. No. You have people that are on the very far left end of the spectrum that, you know, probably need the death penalty, some of them. Or ideally rehabilitation, but, you know, you get the idea of what I'm saying. If nothing bothers you, then you've just been. You're not okay. You're honestly not okay. You're not okay. Like, because it's funny because my mom and dad, the people who taught me forgiveness the most, they were actually the people in my life who needed forgiveness the least from me. They were the people who deserved the most amount of my anger in my life, you know. So of course, you know, they want to teach me forgiveness so they can control me. And so I can't get angry at them, you know, because whenever you really press this idea of forgiveness onto people, you're basically telling them that they're not allowed to be angry ever. Like they're not allowed to have sustained periods of anger ever. So whenever you can really get rid of people's anger, it makes them really easy to control, honestly. It makes it really easy for them to be controlled. You know, I mean, that's like the first thing that's taken away from people in dictatorships is their ability to stand up for themselves always. Like, you take away their guns, you take away their ability to speak up. You take away their right to like free press, their right to protest. All of those things are motivated by anger. Anger just happens to be the one emotion that makes people stand up for themselves the most. So, if you really want to crush people's sense of anger and make them easy to control, you can either like oppress them openly, or you could more discreetly tell them that they should be forgiving. They should be forgiving and endearing and understanding and sympathetic of other people, That would also make them pretty easy to control, and you wouldn't have to be as like openly like a dictator about it, You can do the whole spiritual bypassing thing, like you look at people's actions and you realize there's nothing behind the actions, You can just see the action for what it is and not be affected by it. And that's honestly just retarded. It's ridiculous. Like, I can separate, I can do all that spiritual bullshit, separate, the action from the person or whatever, and see behind the action and above it and below it and to the right and left of it. And I'm still pissed. Because I was wronged at the end of the day. I was still wronged. It doesn't matter if the person doesn't realize what they're doing or if they're sick, I'm still allowed to be mad, and it would be weird if I wasn't. And it's like we're trying to emotionally castrate people or neuter them. Like, we just want them. It's so like cliche, but really, like, the school system really pisses me off. Like, oh no, you all are required to speak one at a time. Don't go out of line. You're not allowed to ever leave your seat, except for these few moments out of the day. Like, what the fuck? It's crazy. It really. Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, oh, you're a little bit jittery. Oh, you have energy. Oh, you need diet meth. You need some amphetamine. Let's give you some ADHD medication. That is crazy. And it's like, these parents just want to have kids that are easy to control. They don't actually want to have kids. They don't really want to have real kids. They just want to have kids they can control, like pets. Because the truth about kids is they get angry. They want autonomy just like every fucking creature ever. And they're not quiet about it. I mean, do you think the human race would have lasted for the like million years that it's lasted if we didn't have anger? If we didn't stand up for ourselves and fight? No. So then why would you want to get rid of that? You're like, oh, well, we don't need to get rid of it. We just need to learn to control it. No. You don't need to control your emotions. That is not a thing. You don't control your emotions. That's not possible. It's like saying you need to control your like, you need to control your appendix. It's like you need to control your appendix. You need to exercise more self-control over your spleen and your kidneys, okay? You're coming off a little strong. No, you don't control your emotions. You can control, your you can control how you respond to your emotions, but emotions themselves are not controllable. You don't like wake up and say, today I am going to feel surprised. At 3:00 p.m., I am going to feel confused. At 4:00 p.m., I am going to feel sad. No, you don't control them. They come up and they go away based on your circumstances and your surroundings, which makes sense considering they're there for your survival. And your survival, like your odds of survival and your threats to your survival can change depending on your environment and your circumstances, you know? So it would make sense that as you navigate through different parts of your day in different settings and environments, you're going to feel differently as you go about your time in the day, you know? But yeah, you really, if you're looking for something to be passionate about in life, you have to have anger. Like, how the fuck would it work without anger? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, the way that innovation happens is because people are frustrated over an inconvenience. It might be small, it might be big, you know, but like, it's inconvenient that, you know, if I am not feeling good, I feel sick, you know, if my car's not working, you know, I just can't go get food. Oh, well, we can just do DoorDash. Yeah. So do you think DoorDash would have ever been invented if people didn't let themselves be bothered by the fact that transporting food can be a really big inconvenience if you don't have the means? Like, it never would have come about unless people allowed themselves to be pissed at something small. Like, don't you think, like, socks, don't you think, like, having socks, don't you think it makes your life better? Like, having socks is a small thing. But just because it's a small thing doesn't mean you should just ignore it, you know? You can say, oh, well, like, what's the big deal about blisters on your feet? You know, like, you got, like, the whole rest of your body. You know, it's just a small thing. Well, it's because over time, those blisters are going to turn into, like, what do you call it? Not a cyst. They're going to turn into not a sore. I can't think of the word. But they're going to turn into something that is even worse than they are right now. And if you would have just acknowledged it in the first place, it would have been fine. So, you see, it really is a good thing that small things do bother you. Like getting a blister on your feet. It's, you know, it's good that you allow yourself to be bothered over something so small because that's what keeps it from turning into something bigger. Like, imagine if you just never paid attention to that blister, then all of a sudden that blister turns into a big sore. That sore keeps getting rubbed open and again, it gets infected, and then eventually you're getting your foot amputated. Like, that's not that crazy, really. Like, that actually probably has happened. So, that's what happens when you don't allow yourself to be bothered by small things. Because the small things, indirectly, are the big things. Ignoring the small things will directly cause the small things to become big things. So, really, in a way, the small things are the big things. And, like, for me, what does this look like for me? It's looked like accepting that I hate my parents and I will never forgive them. And anyone that tells me to forgive my parents, I'm never going to talk to them again. And I'm not going to forgive them either. Because it's not, like, I'm not going to forgive abusive people. No. Like, I am not in, because to say that I forgive them would mean that I'm not bothered by that. I'm not bothered by them anymore. And abuse will always bother me. Abuse will always bother me. You know, my parents were abused as well. And maybe if they had learned to not forgive, if they had learned to actually be bothered by abuse, then they would have been appalled at the idea of ever doing it to their own children, you know? Because they aren't tolerant of abuse. And that's what forgiveness is asking you to do. It's asking you to be, just be tolerant. You know, it's just, it happened in the past. Yeah, what the fuck does that matter? That it happened in the past. Yeah, it happened in the past. To me. To other people. That's why I'm mad about it. because the future eventually is going to become the past. The past is there so we can learn about it so it doesn't happen again. Yeah, it happened to me in the past, and I don't want it to happen again, which is why it bothers me. It bothers me, which is why I'm okay with it bothering me. Like, I'm very much okay with being bothered by abuse. I am 100% okay with that. Like, I'm not just gonna... Like, why would I want to be unbothered by abuse? People be like, oh, it's taking your energy. Yeah, I know. I know it is, yeah. It is taking my energy, and I'm okay with that. Don't you think that's a good thing to take your energy? Don't you think that's a good use of your energy, is being bothered by something bad? Being bothered by abuse? Like, oh, well, there's nothing... It's not about whether or not I can do anything about it now. It's the fact that it bothers me. It just bothers me. You don't have to... Like, I don't have to be doing anything to, like, prevent future terrorist attacks to be bothered by 9/11, Like, that bothers me that happened, And it doesn't mean that I need to be, like, just because I feel like something will say, oh, you don't need to be bothered by it. There's nothing you can really do about it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Even if I can't do anything about it, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean it doesn't bother me. And the thing is, I actually can't. There is actually something you can do about it. You can be bothered by it. You can be bothered by it. Because eventually you're going to have a much, 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 much smaller version of a terrorist attack happen in your own life. And who's to say you're not just going to have adapted the habit to, oh, it's just blah, 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 it's just this. I can't really do anything about it. Yeah, you can. The best thing you can do with anything like that is to be bothered by it. That's the best thing you can do, is to not be tolerant of it at all. I'm glad there's angry people in the world. I'm glad people get outraged and upset about things. That's good. Like, it means you have a zest for life. It means you're not a dead robot. Like, do you think people stay healthy by never being angry? Like, does that sound like someone that's physically healthy to you? Someone that just never gets bothered? Like, when you go to the gym, do the people at the gym that are the most fit, do they look like people who never get bothered and are just, like, happy all the time and always relaxed? No, they don't look like that to me at all. They seem like people who are... One second. Where was I? Yeah, no, like, people that actually move up in life are people who are not content. It's like, oh, it must suck to never be content. You're just a tortured soul. No. That is not true. You're a motivated soul. That's what you are. I don't think I'm ever going to really be 100% content with my life. I think... Actually, maybe I will. But there's nothing wrong with not being content with your life. I think that's okay. I think that's how you motivate change. Like, do you think it would be good if slaves were content? Do you think we would have ever had change if slaves were just content? No. No. Because, like, when you're not content and you're actually honest with yourself about not being content, I think you can actually, like, look across the sea, at someone else's life, and you can realize, actually, if I had that life, I would actually be more content, or I would be completely content with my life. And I want that. And that's really, that's how you, and That's okay. That's how you actually get to having a better life. Because the truth is, some people have shitty lives and some people have really great lives. And the way you get from one to the other is anger. That's how you go from a shitty life to a good life, is by being motivated and upset that you don't have a good life. Like, you have to actually not be okay with your current circumstance if you're ever going to change it, you know? How else would it happen? Like, if we all were just completely 100% forgiving of abusers, it would never go away. Because we'd be like, oh, well, they're people too. Yeah, well, the victims are people too, aren't they? The victims didn't ask for this. Huh? Now what? Yeah, so the idea of forgiveness makes zero sense to me. And I hope that word dies, honestly. Because, like I said a million times before, if you're actually not bothered by something, you won't have to tell yourself to not be bothered by it, you know? And if you are bothered by something, then you should probably look into it, because anger is a very important emotion that deserves to be felt just as much as happiness deserves to be felt. Because anger is how you protect your happiness. Like, why would your body ever want to give you feelings of peace and happiness if your body doesn't even know that you're willing to protect it? Like, why would my body give me peace if my body doesn't know that I'm even going to protect that peace? That doesn't make sense. And what do you think is the body's mechanism and system to protecting its peace that it creates? Anger, annoyance, frustration. That's how you do it. That's like, think about all the times you've gotten angry or minorly upset about something. It's because that thing was at least somewhat impacting your happiness. Otherwise, it would have never bothered you. Because anger is the system that exists in your body and in your brain to protect your happiness and your peace. Like, if people just never got upset in the past, we would have died as a species, because we would have never communicated with each other to stop doing things that are bothering us. We would have killed ourselves. We would have died out, honestly. So, acceptance, like, there's that book Radical Acceptance by Tara Branch, I think. I don't like it. I think it's okay to actually not be okay with some of your emotions and to be honest about it. Like, some of your emotions are there to be disliked. Like, that is the purpose of them, is for you to avoid them and dislike them. Like, feelings of shame, fear, and all that. Like, feelings of terror and feelings of trauma, feelings of depression. Those are not good feelings. You're not supposed to like them, you know? Like, you're not supposed to like them. There's a reason you don't get any dopamine whenever you're depressed. It's because your body is telling you you're not doing the right thing. You need to get out of here and leave, you know? Like, your body's not going to reward you for being in a situation that your body doesn't want to be in. But what this has looked like for me, like, people will say, like, forgive yourself and all that. I actually don't believe in that. Because they're like, oh, everyone messes up. You're not perfect. Yeah, I know. I'm not perfect. What does that have to do with anything? I'm still allowed to be bothered by things I've done and mistakes I've made. Oh, it's just a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. Yeah, I know. It doesn't matter. Like, that's not the point. The goal in life should probably generally be to make less mistakes. And you're not going to make less mistakes if you're just okay with making mistakes. if you just move on past your mistakes immediately. Like, that's called not having self-awareness. And I'm not saying that you should necessarily beat yourself up or hate yourself for your mistakes, because it's not really productive. Because just because you've made some bad decisions doesn't mean you need to stop making decisions altogether. It just means you need to make better decisions. And the way you get motivated to make better decisions is to be mad and frustrated at the fact that you made the bad decisions in the first place, because now you see what the right decision would have been. And now you're motivated. You're like, man, I shouldn't have made that decision. I could have made this decision. So now it's like, man, now I want to make the right decision because I know I could have done it. It's like this frustration is really healthy. It's good. It motivates you. It drives you. So I don't think you need to be hateful towards yourself, but I think it is okay to be angry at yourself. I think that's really healthy, actually. Like, I'll get angry at myself for my lower back pain because it is completely preventable. Like, the reason I got my back pain was because I wasn't being active. And so when I sat in a chair the wrong way for too long playing video games, I ended up with like this strain in my back that lasted for like 2 months. And it was completely avoidable. And I was really mad at myself for that. I'm not like punching myself in the face for it. And I'm not like saying that I'm a loser for it. I'm just frustrated that I made a mistake because it was completely avoidable. So why wouldn't I be frustrated? So it's like the frustration is you knowing that you can do better. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing to know and a good thing to believe. So it's good that you get frustrated at yourself for things like that. And now, I do squats and I exercise a lot more regularly than I did before because, I was frustrated at myself because I knew I could do better. And I am doing better now because I allowed myself to use that as like motivation. So it also like, and I've realized that I've like glossed over this frustration for a long time. And frustration is there, anger is there to like guide you in the direction to having a better life. And if you really think that you couldn't have a better life in any way, you're kidding yourself. Life can always be a little bit better. And for some people, life could be a lot better, but for others, life could maybe just be only a little bit better, but it could still be better. So there should always be things that are like bothering you a little bit. Like, you should hopefully want to always be making your marriage better, right? You should be frustrated whenever a particular year of marriage doesn't go the way you would like it to, because then that motivates you to make the next year better, because you can do better, because you want to do better. You can do better because you want to do better, and you want to do better because it's frustrating when you don't do better. And so for me, like right now, it's looking like I gotta stop like ignoring things that are actually frustrating me about my own life. Like, I gotta quit telling myself that I enjoy being single. That I'm okay with it. Because the truth is, I'm not. I'm not okay with it, and I don't enjoy it. And it's not like a whole, like, you need to spend time with yourself and get to know yourself and all that. It's like, no, that's not it. And if you're like, no, shut the fuck up. I think I know what it's like to be me. I've been doing it for 23 years, okay? I know the things I enjoy. I know the things I don't enjoy. I enjoy playing basketball. You enjoy playing badminton. That doesn't mean that I'm wrong for liking basketball. It doesn't mean that I'm wrong for disliking badminton when I try it. You know what I mean? Like, those are just preferences. Like, you can't force your preference onto me. Okay, you enjoy being single. You enjoy living out in the middle of nowhere and being a lonely cat lady. That's fine. Like, I'm not taking that away from you. I'm not saying that you should not be like that. I'm just saying that I don't want to do that. You like the color red, I'll like the color yellow. We can both, like, you can have your color and I'll have my color. Like, I'm not taking anything from you by liking my color and you liking your color. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you want to be single forever. I don't. I'm not trying to force you into a relationship with me or anything, So I don't get sometimes when people like force their preferences onto other people for things that are really like not like life-threatening or health-threatening or anything. Like, imagine if we did this with like pets. Like, like if someone was like, I really don't enjoy not having a dog. Like if I said I really don't enjoy not having a dog, if I said that to a coworker, what do you think they would tell me? They'd say, "Oh, well, just go get a dog." It's like, yeah, but I feel like I should not have a dog because I should be spending more time with myself. Like they would probably look at me like I was crazy. Like, just get a dog. And it's not like when they say that, they're not like thinking, "Oh my God, like he wants a dog. He must, hate himself. He must be so miserable by himself that he needs this other like thing to be in his life just so he can be happy." Like, no, I don't need it to be happy. I like need it to not be bored. It's more so that like I need it so I can be a little bit more fulfilled with my life. I need it so I can be less frustrated in life. Like I don't need it to like sustain myself, and so that I won't like die tomorrow. Like I'm gonna be fine, but I could be better. Like just like if I had a splinter in my finger, like I would be better off if I didn't have the splinter. So I should probably just take care of it, right? It's the same thing with like a relationship. Like if I told myself, "Oh man, I just hate being single," people will be like, "Oh, well, maybe you should just be single." Blah 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 blah. It's like what? What if I just don't? What if I don't want to be single? Like what if I'm unemployed and I want to have a job? What would people tell me? "Oh, well, just go get a job." It's like what? Yeah, obviously. Like, oh, I don't enjoy not having friends. What would people tell me? "Oh, well, just go out and make friends." Oh, I don't enjoy not being in a relationship. Oh, well, you should really hold off on getting into a relationship. You should really. No, what the fuck? You changed up your whole spiel on me. No, because in accordance with what you said as your answers for all those other questions, it should be, "Well, you're not in a relationship, so just go be in a relationship." You know, oh, what if it doesn't work out for you? Okay, well, what if I get a dog and my dog dies? What if I go out to make a friend and the friend dies a month later? Is that a reason for me to not make friends anymore? You see what I mean? It doesn't really make sense. No, you can just go make more friends. There's more people. Well, you can just get another dog. Maybe you mourn a little bit, but you can get another dog. But it's like, why do we do it completely backwards with relationships? Like you look at people like they're crazy whenever they say they want to be in a relationship. And I'm saying this because I've done this. I've been that person that's looked at other people like they're crazy because they want to be in a relationship. Like, why? It doesn't make sense. It's like if someone tells me that they really enjoy playing table tennis, does it make sense for me? Like, whoa, no, you should really spend more time with yourself before you do that. No, 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 no. No, if you like playing table tennis, then go play table tennis. It's not hurting anybody. As long as the person you're playing table tennis against is completely consenting, nobody is losing here. Nobody's losing. So it should be the same thing with relationships. Oh, you want to be in a relationship? Okay, well, go do it. Because I'm going to be honest, like, relationships are fun. They are fun. And I've never really actually been in a committed relationship, but like, for me, being around a beautiful woman who has a sense of humor and is smart, it's really enjoyable and it's really fun. And that's really the extent of it. Like, I'm not saying I need it like I need water or sunlight. I'm just saying it's fun. It's like if you're in the US and you live in Maine and you're like, man, I really hate the cold. I wish I didn't have to live in the cold. I really love the sun and I love the beach. A reasonable person would say, just move to Florida. Like, you don't, like, if you're not enjoying this, you can just go somewhere else. Like, just because other people like the snow doesn't mean you have to like the snow. We have different genetics. Even though we are 99.9% similar, we're still 0.01% different. No, we're still 0.1% different, and that's a difference. That is a real difference. Those are differences that are going to show up in real life. But it's like, I think probably just from my upbringing and background, when I hear myself say, man, I want to be in a relationship, I immediately think like, oh my God, they're codependent, they're really needy. But that's just not true for everybody. Like, that would be like that would be like assuming that everyone that wants a dog is a dog abuser. And that's just not true. That's the vast minority of people, you know. We know that most people are not like that. You know, I really want to get some plants. Oh, well, you're probably a plant abuser. See how that really doesn't make any sense? It doesn't really make sense. So, I think I'm realizing that like I would literally like shame myself for downloading Tinder or Bumble. But like, why? Like, if I enjoy talking to women and interacting with them, like, what is wrong with that? There's literally nothing wrong with that. What is wrong with wanting to have sex with a woman? There's literally nothing wrong with that. Just like in the table tennis situation, as long as both parties are consenting and you're not forcing someone else to play table tennis, nobody is losing here. Nobody is losing. So why would you like if you just love table tennis and there's other people that want to play table tennis just as much as you, why would you not pursue that? You know what I mean? Doesn't make sense. Okay, so if you want to really be in a relationship, and you know there's other people out there who also really want to be in a relationship, why not go be in a relationship? Why not go do it? You know what I mean? It's like, why are you shaming yourself for something that you like? It was because, I mean, for me, obviously, it's because of my parents. You know, they were not supportive of dating and things like that because that wasn't their preference. It's like, why is this so hard to understand that your preferences are not necessarily my preferences? Like, hopefully I get to a point where I can have kids one day, or I at least have the option. And if I do have kids, you know, if they decide that they don't like basketball, you know, I'm not going to go enroll them in Montverde Academy and force them to play basketball. Why would I do that? That doesn't even make sense. You know why it doesn't make sense? Is because them not playing basketball does not prevent me from playing basketball. And it's like with my parents. Okay, you don't like dating around. You know, you don't like really talking to anyone of the opposite sex besides your partner. That's fine. I don't want to do that though. You know, I want to go out there and talk to women. I'm not saying that you have to do the same thing. I'm just telling you that that's something I want to do. It's like, why do you think that I have to be the exact same as you? It doesn't make sense. Why do I have to be the exact same person as you? I don't want to do that. And it's like, I'm realizing the same thing about like my career. Like, I know this job pays really well. And I know it would probably, I know this is a booming industry, but I just really do not enjoy warehousing. I'm sorry, I really don't enjoy warehousing at all. But then, like, for whatever reason, the response from my parents is like, oh, well, like, you got to do what you, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Sometimes you got to do what you don't want to do. No, you actually don't. That's actually just completely untrue and a lie. You actually never have to do something you don't want to do. There is nobody pulling your strings, forcing you to do things. You're not a fucking puppet. Like, you actually never, ever, ever, ever have to do anything you do not want to do. Like, let's say hypothetically, people could force you to do something that you didn't want to do. They could like literally pull your strings to make you do something. Well, then would that even be you doing it anymore? No. Like whenever there's a puppeteer moving the puppet's arm, do we really believe that the puppet is moving its own arm? Or is the puppeteer moving the arm? You know what I mean? So nobody can ever make you do anything ever. Because if they did force you or make you do something, then it's not you doing it, it is them doing it. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you're always the one that is doing something. You're always the one doing it. It's kind of like how you don't blame soldiers. Like you don't blame soldiers for the wars. You blame the presidents for the wars. Because the presidents are the puppeteers for the soldiers who are the puppets. But that really is only in the case of a draft. Because nowadays you do actually have a choice of whether or not you're going into the military. It's not like life or death. Like if you don't go into the military, well, you're going to prison forever or something like that. So yeah, it's just bullshit that you actually, like the idea that you have to do shit you don't want to do is bullshit. You don't ever have to do that. Like ever. Like at work, if they give you a task that you don't want to do, I mean, if you don't want to do the task bad enough, then you can just not do it. But generally, most people like do like their jobs, or they like the benefits of their job, so they do want to do what it takes to keep that job. So then that means that they do. That means that they do actually want to do the thing that they don't want to do, in a way. But I mean, if you really, really, if you dislike the task more than you like the job, then it would make sense to just not do it and just take the loss, basically. You shouldn't. You should have a standard. You should have a point where it's like, actually, fuck it. That's what I had to do with Amazon. It's like, fuck it, this shit sucks. I don't care that it's a good career. Like, what the fuck is having a, what is the point of having a good career if you don't actually enjoy the good career? Then is it really even a good career? Like, yeah. You know what also was probably a good career at the time was, let me look up the word for it. You know what also was a good career at the time was being a Nazi. I mean, it was probably really profitable, and you had really good job security. You probably had a lot of leverage over the people who weren't Nazis at the time. I'm sure the pay was probably great. You were around some very powerful people. You probably had opportunities to move up. It was a good career. And it's like, yeah, logically, that is technically a good career. But emotionally, as a person, as a living organism, as a human, is that a good career? No. Is that an enjoyable? No. No, you're kidding yourself. No, it's not. So you can't just suppress your emotions forever and then be surprised whenever those emotions aren't rewarding you. It's like, I'm just going to completely ignore my emotions and ignore what my body and my brain is telling me, and I'm going to be surprised 10 years later when I'm not happy. What the fuck do you think your fucking emotions are there for? Your emotions are there to try to position you towards being more happy. Like, what? Do you think your body just doesn't want you to be happy? Like, do you think your body is stupid? Do you think humans would have come, like, do you think humans would have come this far after a million years if we just weren't able to be happy? No. No. Because life has to be enjoyable for people to want to have kids, and to want to continue living. So yeah, you can't just be suppressing your emotions your whole life and then be surprised when you're not happy. Oh man, I made myself miserable for 10 years to become a doctor. Oh, and I made myself miserable, taking care of patients and stuff. I hated it the whole time. Oh, and I got myself out of debt. Now I'm making $400,000 a year. Oh, but for some reason I'm not happy. I wonder why. You mean you completely ignored the system designed to make you happy, and now you're wondering why you're not happy? That's where I'm at right now. I think I do cut myself some slack. Like, I'm not cutting myself slack, and I'm not forgiving myself. I'm just genuinely not that bothered by the fact that I hadn't realized it until now, because I was a kid. I'm just now getting to the point where I'm not a kid anymore. I'm only 24. That's just not that old, really. My brain is just now finishing developing. So, it's hard for me to be completely upset at myself, because I was very uninformed. But, if you're 40, if you're mid-30s, 40 years old, 50 years old, yeah, you should probably be at a point where you're kind of upset with yourself. But yeah, I think I'm gonna think I'm going to figure out how to get a girlfriend. And I've also realized I've been kind of living life backwards, where I've been doing the logical thing so that then I can do the emotional thing. Like, I do the hard work that I hate so then I can have a life that I enjoy. And that's not really the way you should do it. I think you should actually do the opposite way, where you're just doing shit that you enjoy, and then you figure out how you're going to pay for that, basically. I think that is a much more enriching and fun way to live life when you have your reason for why you're living and all that, and then you figure out how you're going to do it. And that's not that crazy, really. But I think it really is very easy to get backwards, you know? Like, think about it like this. Say that you just really love music and you want to be a musician. Do you think it would be better to be a musician first and then you figure out how you're going to sustain that lifestyle with like other things? Or do you think it would be better to be like a warehouse advisor or manager and then a musician? Like, which do you think would make you happier if you really wanted to be a musician? Obviously the first option. Like, you I think it's kind of hard to understand if you've never actually lived a life that you love. But whenever you're legitimately just enjoying life, it really is not going to bother you if you have a little bit of debt. You know, if you have a little bit less money than you would like to, if you're a little bit less comfortable than you would like to be, because, you know, that reality is just so much better than the alternative of making yourself miserable just to have some extra zeros in your bank account. Because that really is what it is. Like, you think I'm sounding crazy when I'm talking about money like this, but when you're living a life that you legitimately hate and do not want to be living anymore, those zeros are literally just zeros. They don't mean anything anymore because they aren't going towards funding an enjoyable lifestyle. Because what enjoyable lifestyle? You hate your life. Like, so the money is only helpful if you know what you want, if you know how to be happy. Then you can just take the money and boom, convert it into happiness. But if you've been just not being happy your whole life, you're not even going to know what to do with the money to make yourself happy. You're just going to be like, you're just going to have been stuck in this system of being unhappy that you're not even going to know what else to do because you're so used to being unhappy that you don't even know how to be happy anymore. You know what I mean? It's just fucking crazy. So I'm probably going to figure out how to get a girlfriend or something. We'll see.